Does a narcissist know that they're a narcissist? Some people say yes, and other people say no. And sadly, I'm here to tell you that it's both. This video will pull apart and help answer that question of, does a narcissist know who they really are? The first thing we really have to do is understand that narcissistic personality disorder, like so many other mental and personality disorders, runs on a spectrum. No narcissist is exactly like another. Neither are two people with bipolar or OCD, schizophrenia, and the like. To help myself even understand this a little bit better, I have begun to split this disorder into like two different sections, and I call it high-functioning and low-functioning narcissism. Now, this is just what I do. You won't find this in other videos more than likely or other articles. This is just how I kind of broke it down for myself. It's not exactly that cut and dry as high and low functioning, and I'll talk about it here in a minute. Like I say, just for even me to get a handle quickly, the low functioning narcissism, so to speak, as I kind of call it, they have less awareness than other people. But let's break this down a little bit more and go through the different places, kind of. Let's have some little pit stops along the spectrum of narcissistic personality disorder. Let's just start at the bottom with those who have absolutely little to no self-awareness. They have absolutely no idea that they're toxic, narcissistic, and abusive. These are the folks that are heavily delusional, big-time dwellers in their own little fantasy world, and they just really couldn't have less of an idea that their behavior is harmful. This category can be filled with narcissists who are terrible, but they're just so far gone, low functioning, as I say, so deeply rooted into their narcissism. The weird thing about it is they might even think that they're good, nice, caring people. Some even think that they're great, dare I say. Have you ever heard a narcissist tell you how empathic they are and nice and understanding? Yeah, that's these folks right here. No awareness, no self-reflection. You will never be able to convince a person like this to get any kind of help. Unfortunately, this disorder has completely swallowed a person like this. So our next little pit stop moves us to, we come across those that are slightly less delusional about things. They know something is up. They might realize that they have trauma or commitment issues, abandonment issues, and they might even realize they have a few flaws, but they do not, again, think that they're bad, narcissistic, abusive, anything like that. Again, there's a slight higher ability here to understand, but narcissistically, lots of denial and stuff that a lot of narcs do. They would never think of themselves as narcissistic. Then we move up into what I believe to be a larger group, those who know, or maybe slightly higher functioning, quote unquote, more narcissists. I believe there are more narcissists in the world who know over those who don't, but don't rule out those first two groups I just kind of talked about, because they're definitely out there, and maybe you've even dealt with someone like that. The ones that are just so far gone, they don't recognize anything. So I like to call this little group right here the classic middle-of-the-road narcissist. They know they're toxic, they know they're unhealthy, they know they have issues. However, these people still more than likely wouldn't call it narcissism, but only because it's narcissism. So when you have that disorder, everything bad and wrong, it might be because you did it, but it's still at the result of somebody else, and it's someone else's fault. Again, classic narcissism. They're going to start gaslighting and blame shifting. So all the bad that they're very aware that they're doing is nonetheless the result of somebody else's actions. Please see the information on the screen now if you would like to work with me one-on-one. Then we begin to take a step further, and as we go further, I feel like all of this ramps up and gets worse. It's one thing to not really know and be so ill and in your illness that you think you're great. It's almost like the kid who doesn't know not to touch the hot stove, but when the person knows, I feel personally it can get far more dangerous. Because this next group knows, and you know what? They probably even know it's narcissism too, and I'll tell you something else. They don't give a shit. They really, truly couldn't care less what they have or what they don't. All they understand is they have needs, and they need to figure out how to get those needs met, or who more than likely will be meeting those needs. They know they have things that need to get done, and they have to figure out what to do to make it happen. So there's that little group right there. And then we reach the end game, the narcissism that borders on malignant, psychopathic, sociopathic behavior. Those who know and are absolutely just defiant, the most repugnant, worst kind of narcissism. The people with the huge sense of entitlement, the absolute worst of the worst. They're mentally, physically abusive. These are the ones that get up in your face. They yell, they scream, they throw things. They go, yeah, that's right. I cheated on you. What are you going to do? Leave me? You're not going to leave me. Or they might say something like, yeah, that's right. I said, give me $1,000 before I call up your job and complain and get you fired. How would you like that? I think you better just give me the money. There's just this malignant, cold, cruel, extreme entitlement. Again, that defiant nature. They're just going to resist every little single thing that they don't want to do. And again, they know they just really can't be bothered. They don't care. And you might find that these are the people who, or say something along the lines of, well, this is just who I am. This is just me, and you're just going to have to accept me the way I am. This is me. This is what I do. And I also want to address what I personally would consider the oddball group here. And there are some narcissists out there, and just because I say they're the oddball, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the smallest group of them. These are just the weirdos, basically. And those are the people that know that there's some kind of disorder or illness, and maybe they do know it's narcissism. But these folks are slightly different. These are some of the people who might even try to get help, but they just can't get through therapy. Again, the narcissism kicks in, they can't do it. And they might actually honestly feel bad about the things that they do, despite the fact that their illness will cause them to fail. They still try. Again, they're aware, and unlike any of the other groups here that I've talked about, they do not love this about themselves. It's exhausting and painful. And I think that these are the folks that maybe have the absolute highest of awareness, and they're not necessarily the most abusive. It is still abuse, even though you're aware that you're doing it and you can't do anything to stop it. There's still signs of the disorder there. Of course, this is just a few examples. There are dozens in between. We could literally be here all day trying to talk about every little single thing. Narcissism isn't and never will be a black and white extremist kind of thing. There are 1 million shades of gray when it really comes down to what these people know, what they don't, and how they feel about it. And even more so, if they know what they're dealing with, how do they behave with that information? But I want to talk about what really matters here. And that is, no matter the level of this person or people that you're dealing with, whether they know or they don't, in the end, that really doesn't erase what you go through in a relationship, a friendship, even with a coworker. This is not all romantic. They do this to anybody and everybody. And regardless of even if they're aware of it, it doesn't make it good. It doesn't change, again, what you went through as a survivor. Whether it's a disorder or just a mean, nasty person, it's treatment that you don't deserve. Don't put up with it 1 second longer than you have to. Thank you so much for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't. Have a great day, survivor, and take care of yourself.